He never likes to look weak. And when she is looking straight to camera like she did in her rally and said, if you want to say something to me, say it to my face. I think in this circumstance, him not debating her makes him look weak, and he doesn't like to look weak. I also like her chances going into this debate of looking very strong coming out of that, and that's something that will be, very different than what we saw in the last debate. I think you see President Trump talking a lot about, he keeps wanting to reference Biden. And it's like, you're not running against Biden anymore. You're running against Kamala Harris. So, I think there's a reason why they don't want to do it. And you might actually have to prep for this one.
Well, and it's not just a question of whether we're going to see the presidential candidates debate, but vice presidential as well. We don't know if we'll see Senator J.D. Vance on the stage with ... whoever she picks by next Tuesday, we expect. What are you hearing on that front, Kristen?
I think she's having these conversations. We have just so many great, people out there that can fill this role, and it's all about who she feels comfortable with, who makes the ticket stronger. It's not necessarily, are you a governor, are you a senator? It's what maybe can that person do to fill up some of the gaps and she believes makes the ticket stronger. And I would take any of these people that we're discussing up against J.D. Vance like all day long, every day.
I mentioned the nominating contest. Do you worry about the impression that makes? Why not wait to Chicago and actually have a real roll call after what happened? These are extraordinary circumstances for Democrats this time.
They are. I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference, honestly.
It doesn't smack of backroom deals.
It doesn't. And honestly, I know this is getting into the nitty-gritty of it, but, if you look at Ohio, there was a chance that, if we didn't do this, and then if people don't remember, we had to delay the Democratic Convention because of the Olympics. So this is way later than it normally would have happened. So the decision was made back in the spring, to go to do this early just in case. Now, Ohio, the state legislature fixed the problem, but, I'm a Democrat. I don't want to rely on Republican state legislatures who might go back on their word. And go ahead and get this done, and then we can have the celebration and the introduction and education to the American people of who she is in Chicago.
So if we consider that the vice president of the United States still needs to be introduced to the American people to a large extent after being a breath away from the presidency for 3.5 years, how hard is it going to be to introduce any of these vice presidential candidates to the American people in such a short span of time for them to actually make a difference, to contribute to the ticket as you describe?
I think it makes a difference in the states where it will matter. So this is not, that part isn't abnormal. I mean, picking your running mate and who that is. Clearly, you're voting for the presidential candidate, but if you're looking at states like Pennsylvania or Arizona, they're going to know who these people are. So yes, it's an uphill climb to educate the American public on who the vice presidential candidate is, but I think that that's the campaign's job over the next couple of weeks.
So we've heard a lot about a sugar high and a honeymoon and all of that, and I suppose you could qualify this entire period of time we're in straight through the convention, straight through Chicago. Then we get out on the road. The real sprint begins. Give us a sense of what kind of planning this campaign is going to be focused on coming out of August into September. Kids go back to school, people back from vacation, they're paying attention now.
I think you'll see a lot of focus, like you will just starting next week, on the blue wall states, quote unquote blue wall states. That's the easiest path to victory for the Democrats if you're looking at Pennsylvania and Michigan, Wisconsin, those type states. But I think you're also going to see a focus on North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, those type of states where you've got strong down-ballot candidates as well, strong governors who are going to be, you see the surrogates and how strong these surrogates are. So anybody who's in the race and the running to be the VP pick and is going to be a strong surrogate for her in those states. So I think you'll see a lot of focus on where the campaign needs to be focused in order to get to that number in order to win the presidency.